rescue dog helped rescue a local woman and her family. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon. A new book tells the story of a local woman whose life in many ways was rescued by a dog that she rescued from an animal shelter. The book, IncrediBullStella, How the Love of a Pit Bull Rescued a Family, is written by Marika Meeks, and we welcome Marika Meeks to Arizona Horizon. Good to have you here, and we welcome Stella too.
Thank you. We both appreciate the warm welcome.
Yes, well, she's a good dog. All right, I want to get you, there's so much, the book is really well done. It's a very touching story, and it really hits home in a lot of ways. Let's start with you. What happened in about 2013, I think it was?
Yeah, to make it a really short story, I kind of got blown out of the water by being diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. No family history, mammograms that had been clear, 4 of them in a row. And so it was a real shock to me to get that diagnosis and find out that I was that far along.
Now, how did Stella come into your life? Because you originally tried for a few other dogs, it sounds like.
Yeah, I did. It's interesting. I went through cancer treatment out here in Scottsdale, but really my family was living in Indiana at the time. And so I was here by myself. And before I started radiation, I had an experience with a dog here in Scottsdale, and I had not planned on getting a dog. And I ran into this little dog. I got down on my knees. I was, really in a desperate state, really myself emotionally at that point, really low. And this little dog put its little arms around its waist and literally buried its head in my chest. And all of a sudden I felt this like whoosh of like energy, this positive energy that I needed in my life to take my mind off of everything I've been going through. And that's really where the seed for Stella became a part of my life in Scottsdale, which later on I adopted her in Indiana.
Okay, so yeah, so we get now to the part of Stella. This is a beautiful dog. It's a pit bull.
Yes.
Well, there are thoughts about pit bulls, pro and con. Well, no time to argue that one right now. But the fact is, you decided on this dog. Did the dog decide on you, or did you decide on the dog?
I think a dog has a way of picking a person, and a person has a way of picking a dog. And I did. I had several near misses with other dogs. It just didn't work out for one reason or another. But I trust my intuition, and I trust the universe. And when Stella and I met each other, she changed our life the moment that we brought her home. She gave me my daughter back, and she really set me on a course to live my life's purpose, which is to use the second chance that I amazingly got. I survived stage 3 cancer, and now my family wants to use that second chance to help dogs like Stella get their second chance too.
And your story is really interesting because you describe yourself as shipwrecked in a post-cancer world of fear.
Yes.
You got past the cancer, but that fear was still there. And it was very real.
It was an awful, awful time for me because here I am thinking that I should be feeling so victorious and celebrating and everything should be more vibrant and bright and I should enjoy every moment, but I was still stuck in this fear and anxiety waiting for that other shoe to drop, and I didn't know what life was anymore. It's like I had managed to stay alive, but I'd forgotten how to live, and that's really where Stella came into the picture and showed me the way back to interacting with other people. I always say dogs, everything we do involves dogs, but it's not really about dogs. What it's about is giving hope to the world, having people hold on, knowing that when you have an experience like cancer or another experience in your life, that you can leverage that into something wonderful too.
And you mentioned your daughter. Talk about one of your daughters.
Yes.
This one daughter in particular. This dog was life-changing for her.
She was. I didn't know how badly my youngest daughter at the time, she was 16, was struggling. And of course, I was out here in Scottsdale, 1,800 miles away. And I got, the call that every parent dreads, that they had found a suicide note and that she was nowhere to be found. And we did reconnect. She was okay. But when we got back together, so much water had gone under the bridge that we really couldn't figure out how to communicate anymore. And that was until September 13th, 2015. I remember that day because that's the day we brought Stella home. Katie was with me. And when we brought Stella into our house, we instantly fell back in love with each other as we were bonding with this new animal. Instantly that day, she changed our relationship and she gave me my daughter back.
Now, this is a rescue dog. Rescue dogs can be frightened at first of new experiences and new people. Sounds like the ride home went great. Once she got home, how long of an adjustment period was there?
She did pretty well. You know, she and her sister were dumped by the side of the road in January in the Midwest, so they were kind of left for dead. And she's a very intuitive dog, but she's also a very sensitive dog. She really wants to please. And so I wasn't sure. I thought it would take her a little bit to get used to us and our new house, but she kind of zipped around like, oh, okay, this is where I live now.
Yeah, and she is a pit bull.
Yep.
And you know what people say, and in your book, you talk about how a vet actually tried to talk you out of her after you'd fallen in love with this dog.
Yeah.
She tried to talk you out of it because of the concerns that people have about pit bulls.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, there's a lot of hype in the media, and people don't really realize that a lot of the term when the word pit bull is used, there's nothing backing up like what type of a breed of a dog is it that's involved. They'll use some physical characteristics to say, oh, that's a pit bull. Well, you know, it's not accurate a lot of cases. Stella is actually a very small percent pit bull, although people would look at her and say that she's a pit bull. So we did on one of our first vet visits, the vet tech actually took us aside and said, you know, she's a dangerous dog. I mean, she really had us terrified. And I thought, my gosh, what did she do? Oh, she didn't do anything, but you're really asking for problems. And so, you know, we've run into that, but really dogs are no different than humans. Each one of them is an individual, and they deserve to be treated as such and not like painted with such a broad brush.
Yes, and again, animals can do wonders for people who, you said you were lost, and she helped you find yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
that's an amazing story.
It has been an amazing journey, and we are so excited to have our book out, to tell our story, to have a friendly, smiling, joyful face of a pit bull that's going to be all across the country. Where our book's available in Target, and we have our book signing, our kickoff party at Changing Hands on Thursday at 7 p.m. So Stella's going to be there, and we look forward to celebrating and selling a lot of these books.
Well, good for you and good for Stella. Now, again, what do you want people to take from the book? Because there are a variety of stories in
Yeah.
here. What do you want them to take?
I think what I want them to know is that, you know, there are a lot of people suffering out there, like I was suffering, regardless of whether it's a cancer diagnosis or something else. We also, especially here in Maricopa County, have shelters that are overflowing with dogs that we could marry up with people. And if we could take people that are suffering and dogs that need home and get more of those people and dogs partnered together, I really think that we could change the world.
And as far as pit bulls are concerned, can you change the perception of the bull terrier breed in general?
Well, I think we do that one dog at a time, one person at a time, and that's why it's so important for us, for everybody to meet Stella and see what a friendly, loving, cuddly dog she is.
All right. And does she have any housemates now? Is she the only dog in the house?
We do a lot of fostering. We adopted out our last puppy yesterday, but if anyone's interested, you can follow all of our dogs on our Instagram.
And she probably has a lot of followers.
About 80,000.
80,000.
Yeah.
All right. Marika Meeks, IncrediBull. She's been a good girl.
She has been a good girl.
Yeah, she could tell she wants to be on TV, but maybe not all that much.
Yeah.
It's good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.